The wait is finally over. After months of being out of stock, the Steam Deck OLED is officially back. You can go to the Steam store right now, hit the button, and you will have one at your door in the next 3 to 5 days. But there is a catch, and it's kind of a massive one. Valve didn't just restock the deck, they effectively relaunched it, but at a luxury price point. If you were waiting for the 1TB OLED model to come back, you're no longer looking at that competitive $649 price tag. It's now $949 USD. That is a $300 jump for the exact same hardware that launched 3 years ago. For Canada, it's $1,349 before tax, and in Australia, it's $1,429. This is a fundamental shift in Valve's business strategy. Today, we are breaking down what happened behind the scenes to force Valve's hands, and most importantly, what this terrifying new baseline tells us about the pricing for the upcoming Steam machine. To understand the price, we have to look at why the deck was gone in the first place. Since around February 2026, getting a new Steam Deck unit from Valve has been nearly impossible. They discontinued the LCD models and kept the OLEDs, but those got sold out extremely fast. A lot of people assumed Valve was just winding down production to focus on their other hardware, but the reality is much more expensive. The supply chain for high-speed storage and RAM completely collapsed for small to medium-scale manufacturers. AI data centers are currently inhaling over 70% of the world's high-end memory supply. The components inside your Steam Deck are now luxury goods. Valve is no longer able to subsidize the hardware at a loss to get you into the ecosystem. The math simply doesn't work when these RAM prices have tripled in less than a year. Steam Deck itself hasn't changed. These new prices reflect the current state of component costs and other global logistical challenges across the industry as a whole. As Valve says, the price increase for both models is due to rising memory and storage costs. Their original aggressive pricing was no longer a viable option. They had to make a choice: keep it out of stock forever or raise the price to reflect the new reality. As we see here, they chose the latter, with the 512GB model now being $789 USD, while the 1TB is $949. And this signals the end of the subsidized era of Valve hardware as we know it. The Steam machine also won't be sold at a loss, as Valve has confirmed. Valve has traditionally used hardware as a loss leader just to get you into the Steam store. By raising the price by $300, which is not just some small hike, Valve is signaling that the acquisition phase of the Steam Deck is over. It doesn't seem like they're trying to buy new customers anymore. They're now treating the Steam Deck as a standalone product line. And as I'm making this video, both models for the Steam Deck have sold out, showing how people are still trying to get their hands on one even with these new prices. And to be fair, they're actually late to this party. We are living in a new normal where the traditional console cycle has been flipped on its head. Usually, tech gets cheaper as it ages. In 2026, it's doing the opposite. Just look at Sony. They pushed through their second massive price hike in a year. The standard PS5 is now $649, and the PS5 Pro, a console that launched at $749, is now $899. Microsoft is also doing similar things, with the Xbox Series X now sitting at $649 for the disc version. Even Nintendo announced a global price hike for the Switch 2, bumping it from $449 to $499. The difference is that while Sony and Microsoft have been slowly boiling the frog with $50 and $100 increases, Valve just ripped the band-aid off with a single $300 jump. It's the first time Valve has touched the deck's pricing since it launched in 2022. They held the line for 4 years, but the dam finally broke. So although the prices have been increased by a lot, it seems like Valve didn't really have many other options if they wanted to continue selling their Steam Deck, which before this was out of stock for 4 months. And to truly understand why Valve thinks they can get away with a $949 price tag, which may seem like a lot because it actually actually is, you have to look at the absolute carnage happening in the Windows handheld market. Just look at the Lenovo Legion Go 2. This time last year, it was a heavy hitter in the $800 range. As of this month, if you want the top spec model with 32GB of RAM and 2TB of storage, Lenovo's official site has it listed for a staggering $2,849. Then there's the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X. The current Z2 Extreme is hovering right at the $999 mark. So unfortunately, these handheld devices, which were used and bought by many as a starter to get into the PC gaming ecosystem due to their previous affordable price points, aren't really an option anymore. Now these handhelds are more so luxury items. But you might be wondering, why would Valve suddenly give up their price advantage? And that's because the Steam Deck was never their endgame. SteamOS is. Valve wins if you use the software on your device, even if you didn't buy the hardware directly from them. Recent SteamOS updates included an ARM build that runs with FEX, allowing SteamOS to run on tons of more devices that were previously not possible, like even the Switch. This bridge allows the entire Steam library to become portable across architectures. It effectively future-proofs SteamOS, allowing it to move onto mobile silicon that offers better efficiency and battery life than traditional x86 chips. But now let's talk about the Steam machine. This is the topic that many people care about and are worried for, especially after this recent news. Since the new Steam hardware was revealed, many people have speculated that Valve would release the Steam machine to compete with PlayStation and Xbox somewhere in that $600 to $800 range. While even some recent speculation and estimates have put it in the $600 range. But now, if a handheld device is a $950 product, there is virtually zero chance the Steam machine, which Valve says is 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, will launch in those first expected price ranges, and it very likely could even rise to 4 digits. But the real question is, how much more? Today's price hike should be a reality check for us all. If you were saving up $600 for a Steam machine, you might want to start doubling that goal. And the final question is, will people actually pay $949 for a Steam Deck? And the answer is almost certainly yes, and Valve knows it. This is the power of their ecosystem. Between the new Steam family sharing features and the total integration of your library, the friction of moving to a Windows-based handheld is just too high for most people. Valve is betting that the Steam experience, the sleep-wake function, the UI, the community features is worth a $300 premium over the competition. They are moving into that Apple territory where the hardware price is secondary to the software prestige. If these new prices are a deal breaker for you, and for most people they probably should be, there is one safety net left, and that's the certified refurbished program. But even here, there's a catch. Valve quietly raised the prices of refurbished units alongside the new ones. A new refurbished 512GB OLED now costs $629. So it has finally happened. Valve has increased its hardware prices. What do you think the launch price of the Steam machine will be? If this news is anything to go by, I'd raise your estimates. Unfortunately, it's not looking good for the future of the Steam machine and Steam frame, but we're gonna have to see what Valve has in store.